morning YouTube, welcome back to another Division 2 video. Today I want to talk about something that I actually talked about, I think it was about 3 years ago when the Division 1 information was coming out. And with the information we currently have on the Division 2, I thought it was worth revisiting and talking about. Now I have to say before we start, there is no new information in this video. It's more of a conversation and a bit of hoping with some speculation and educated guessing thrown in for good measures. So today's topic is influence. Now, back in the Division 1, there was a chain of thought before launch that our actions in-game would influence the game world and some of the mechanics too. Now, this turned out to be nothing like what we had hoped for, but there was a very minute aspect of it. Now, with the Division 2 around the corner and information surrounding control points, settlements and other in-game mechanics surfacing, I thought it would be a good idea to look at two things. One, how our actions in-game could prove to be more influential on the open world, and two, an actual influence system that could directly affect your gameplay experience with in-game factions and NPCs. So, let's begin. First of all, let's talk about the possibility of how our in-game actions could directly influence the game. For this, we're going to look at control points, which we know for a fact are dynamic open world activities. By the way, if you haven't seen my video on this topic, I will link it in the video description. Now, we know that control points are points on the map that are held by enemy forces, but can be taken control of by our agents with the aid of in-game NPCs that are aligned with you and other good guys. Now, how exactly can this influence the game? Well, let's put our speculation hat on for a moment. What if, when we take control of these points, the enemy faction that held this point before now have less of a presence for a limited time in that area of the map? This would be an example of our actions in-game directly affecting the game world itself, and this, if true, could lead to a whole host of other knock-on effects. Now, as I said, this may not be the case, but as a topic that arrived back before the Division 1 released, I thought we should at least talk about it. Now, I don't know if this is a thing or not, but it would be very cool if it was, and if there were other ways that our actions could affect our gameplay. It would help the longevity, the replayability, and would help you have a different experience every time you logged in. I mean, if we look at the fact again that these control points are dynamic and have the ability to constantly change hands, then this would definitely play into a bigger picture when looking at the story and gameplay of the open world. Next, I want to talk about the possibility of a direct influence bar or system that is tied to your actions in game. We know that civilization has torn itself apart, and what happens when an event like this occurs? Well, factions spring up. Be they good or bad, in a situation like the Division story suggests, you would have these factions arise, and similar to, let's say, how The Walking Dead is scripted, these factions wouldn't all get along as they would all have their own goals, ideas and agendas. Now, what if certain factions had the ability to be friendly towards your agent or hostile? And I don't mean like how there are enemy factions in game. I mean more along the lines of swing factions that you could interact with in the open world that could be good or bad depending on your actions. That could also be a defining gameplay mechanic that could be used to change how the game plays. Now, if this was actually a thing, imagine how it could work. Your agent's actions directly affect what factions will treat you as friendly and what faction would treat you as hostile. This would directly affect the open world map because certain areas would become more easily accessible to you and others would become areas that you would be constantly fighting in because all the NPCs in that area would want to take you out. What if, similar to the Division 1 safe houses returned, but they were controlled by said factions and you could only enter and use the ones you were friendly with? This would affect the ability to interact with vendors, with side missions, with open world activities, and again have a whole new knock-on effect system that directly affects gameplay and story. Now, a system like this could be very interesting, and I think it would be a very good idea. Several games have actioned similar systems like this in the past, and it does make for some very interesting gameplay and storytelling, because let's be honest, if you were in a situation the people of DC find themselves in with the Division 2, how much would you take before you reach your limit, and how long would you be willing to work with an occupying force whose goals and ideology didn't match your own? I don't think that the idea of some kind of influence system is out of the question with the Division 2, but how in-depth it may go, if indeed it is a game mechanic, is something to be seen. What do you guys think? Do you think we will have some form of influence on the game world? Do you think our agents' actions could possibly affect the storyline or affect the bigger picture? I honestly don't know, but I would definitely like to think that having seen new activities like control points in game, that the dev team would have gone in a little bit more detail than just kill these enemies, take over a point and occasionally defend it. But, you know, that's just my 2 cents, guys. As always, I'd love to know your thoughts on it in the comment section down below. As always, I thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more Division videos coming over the Christmas period, as there is a lot I do want to talk about. But for now, agents, enjoy your day. Thank you very much for watching, and until the next one, I'll catch you all soon.